welcome to Raise Sensation. I'm your host, Dan. And in this episode, I'm going to be looking at Creepy, Volume 1, collecting Creepy 1 through 5 from Dark Horse Archives. So this is the hardcover edition of this. The reason I'm covering it is because this summer, the paperback edition is coming out. And so I think a lot of people will be thinking about picking it up. It's going to be cheaper. So if you're not familiar with Creepy already, hopefully my flipping through this will help you decide. Now, I will point out that I am going to be looking at the things that most leaped out at me as I flip through this. I am kind of persnickety when it comes to horror stuff. Persnickety just means like picky, perhaps overly picky. And the thing is, the idea is that even if a comic is well drawn, even if it's well written, sometimes a comic still doesn't speak to me. I would wager that the vast majority of comics have something good about them and has a fan somewhere. Even though I really like horror comics and monster comics, the amount of ones that really stick out for me that I really like it's not that great. When I see people who, have a big bunch of comics and they seem to just love them all, I'm jealous because I don't feel that way. I don't connect with as many different comics as a lot of people. But in any case, I'm going to flip through this. I'll point out a few things that I really like about this. If I don't point something out, it's not because I don't think it's well drawn or well written or anything. It is just the idea that, I'm just going to talk about what I want to. So here we go. Okay, so let's start off here. I'll start off, of course, with the famous Jack Davis cover for Volume 1. Nice group of monsters there. I love the looks on some of their faces. Honestly, I could care less about horror hosts. I'm not a big fan of the hosts. I mean, many times they're just an excuse. You don't have a really good ending for your story. You just throw the horror host in there to make some jokes and wash over it and lead on to the next one. That's how I feel about it. But in any case, these are pretty well done. Now this story here, I really like this one. A husband who goes to the jungle with his wife, who's into voodoo. He ends up accidentally killing her, and he tries to escape. He's still trying to escape the jungle, but the people that the woman was learning voodoo from have shrunk her head and sewn it back on her body so that she can go and kill her husband. I think that's a great visual there. That's great. I don't think you get a real sense of how small the head shrunk is there in that silhouette. But that's cool. I think that's fun. Here's some a Reed Crandall one, and a Reed Crandall, somebody who I really enjoyed because I was a huge fan of Universal Monsters movie and also of Hammer films, and I think he captures the atmosphere of those type of movies really well. This particular story is not a biggie to me. Now, Frazetta, of course, did a lot of great covers for him, but he didn't do a lot of interiors. This one though, Werewolf. This is Frazetta, and it's really great. Great layout and stuff, great drawings. Super macho, great white hunter. Man, Frazetta makes him look big and tough. His native guide trying to warn him about the creature he's hunting. And he's like, yeah, what is it that gives them this belief? You know, he doesn't buy it. And needless to say, he does not heed the warnings. He and his friend go out hunting, and he's a cruel, macho guy. He punches his friend in the face for daring to disagree with him about something. And his friend saves his life by shooting the snake that's about to bite him. And he can't even say thanks for that. He goes, trying to make a fool of me, eh? From now on, I can handle things myself, see? Don't you forget that. So they're going along, and sure enough, there's the beast. And that, man, that's a great reveal. That's a great introductory, just fantastic. Because it looks somewhat like a great cat, but it also looks like it could be something else. I mean, it really looks like some kind of demon monster. He fires on it, and at first it doesn't seem to be hurt at all. It jumps again. He shoots it. Finally, it starts dying. But as it's dying, it starts turning into a human, and he starts transforming. He's become the new monster. And this guy's going like, ah. Now, that is a twist that horror comics use all the time, including Creepy and Eerie. It's a real cliche to have that happen. But I'll forgive it in this case because the art is so great. This macho hunter definitely seems like he deserves what happens to him. These panels leading up to the transformation are just absolutely great, much better than in a lot of these transformation scenes. So, man, don't you wish Frazetta had done a lot more comics work? Yeah, there's Little Abner. You can go back and look at that. This is a comic. I don't think this is. I think the cartoonist Kayfabes might have done a walkthrough of this book. Maybe when they were doing a story about. Maybe when they were doing an Al Williamson story. I know they've done a couple videos on his artwork. But anyway, it's a guy. A guy is stealing all the credit for the work that all these guys are doing on the comics that have his name on them, and he's making all kinds of money, and all the different people he's ripping off for credit and money end up meeting in a bar and realizing, hey, I draw it, I write it, and this guy inks it. So they all thought that he was doing everything except the one thing they were doing. So they were kind of like, I guess, I can't draw or ink, so I'm just a writer. But then when they realize, oh, hey, he doesn't do anything, we do it all, they come and demand more money. He kills them all, dumps their bodies. But of course, they come back from the dead and attack him, and then they find one last page of comics having been done, inked in blood, and it's them attacking him. I'm not sure why they would have bothered doing that, but okay. Another great issue, has another great cover, another Frazetta cover. That would have worked good on the with that story he did. Oh, and this is another Reed Crandall, and this guy discovers a bunch of guys staking out a woman, and he saves her. They say he's pure evil, but it turns out they had a reason to stake her out. She is some kind of werewolf creature. So he realizes he has to kill her. He goes, "Oh, you can relax. I've done the job for you." They go like, oh, we just wanted to get rid of her because she was too obvious about it. We're all were creatures. This is about a guy who they discover these coffins full of these bodies that, and apparently he discovers they're like suits that can be worn by someone who knows the magic, and so this guy puts himself into these bodies and goes out to destroy the people he holds a grudge against. And so he gets to be all these different monsters. I mean, this thing, the werewolf, this devil-looking creature. Then he's doing the mummy. And there's a Frankenstein-type creature, too. Oh, that's the mummy face. And then it turns out that while he was out there, the original guy, the pharaoh that was in one of the bodies, when he took over the mummy body, the pharaoh was able to take his body. So now that guy's stuck in the mummy body forever. Although why it's forever for him, and maybe he's going to kill you for doing that. I don't know. But I thought those were pretty well done monsters. So you get a plethora of monsters there. This is another one that really struck me when I was a kid. This stuff by Angelo Torres. I liked his art a lot. I don't remember this from a kid. I think it would have bothered me as a kid that there's places where, the line is gone. Was that how it looked in the original printings? I can see where it wouldn't need a holding line on like that maybe, but it seems like there's an awful lot more of it than I remember from being a kid. This guy goes to a castle. It turns out it's guarded by monsters. He sees a fair maiden. He goes to save her, and these are some great monsters. There's the servant is this hideous toad-looking thing, and he manages to kill them all. The way he's kicking that poor little monster down there reminds me of in Monty Python and the Holy Grail when the knight attacks the wedding party. he does an overkill. There's a demon hound he has to kill. He's got the young woman in his arms, and then it turns out that the woman is really the master of the castle, and all these creatures were doing their bidding. But then it turns out that the ogre that he's slain was really his brother, had been changed into an ogre, and he's killed his brother, and now that his brother's dead, the witch turns him into the ogre to be one of her servants. Another great cover. Then, I'm not going to talk about that one. Yet another great cover. That's a pretty nice zombie there. Yeah, these Rosetta covers. Curse of the Full Moon. More Reed Crandall. A guy goes to end the curse of a werewolf, and he kills the werewolf. But he, of course, gets turned into a werewolf. Now, the thing about this is, when the werewolf is attacking everybody, it's running around on all fours. When he turns into a werewolf, for some reason, he doesn't look like he could do this, but he's walking on his hind legs, but he's still like a werewolf, and he gets killed for being a werewolf. Anyway, just thought that was interesting. Yet another great cover. That's all I'm going to go over in this one. Like I said, lots of great artwork. Those are just some that I thought in particular. I liked this one when I was a kid, too. I remember this one very well because when the guy was changing into a snake, I liked the artwork for that. Anyway, that's it for these. I'll see you next time.